This is Tax Coach Susan, protecting taxpayers. How? By empowering and illuminating you with easy to understand tax classes coming this 2020 tax season. All right, today we're gonna discover the mystery of how payroll really works. And I'm gonna show it to you from the perspective of the employee, the employer, and the self-employed, because there's a difference there. And before we continue on, I just want to show you very quickly from my class that I'm preparing in this tax jungle thing where you are. So I separated into two houses. One is the earned income home and one is the unearned income home. And as you can see, there are two floors. One is the passive income floor, one is the portfolio income floor, and the second floor, and all the taxes that apply to each of these incomes. And then when we go to the earned income, and the second floor, we see the ordinary income and the taxes that apply when you earn ordinary income. And then we go to the first floor, which is the active income. And that's where you are. As an employee, you earn active income. And that's when you pay Social Security, Medicare, or self-employed taxes. It's the same thing. So let's if you want more information in regards to each of those taxes, because I go in detail about those taxes, and the class Decoding the Mystery of the Tax Rates We Pay. And this type of class is for entrepreneurs, for you guys that have a business, for you guys that pay taxes. This is really, really important. I actually started to create this class for my son because there is so many different taxes out there. It's like a huge jungle. So I wanted my son to choose the right path so that he pays the least amount of taxes, right? Because taxes are the highest, the biggest expense that we have. And so then if this is good for my son, then it's like this is good for everybody, you know? I want you guys to understand, to have clarity of how many taxes are out there, because it's the only way, really, it's the only way you can start to pay less taxes. All right, so let's go with the view from the employee, employer, and self-employed. And as the employee, you receive a W-2, you see your deductions there on the form W-2, right? And if you're an employer, you're going to deduct those taxes on your corporate taxes, whether you're a C corporation or you can be a S corporation. For the self-employed, you may be an entrepreneur, a contractor, you may be working as a DBA, doing business as, or you may be working as a sole member, LLC, but these self-employment taxes also apply if you're a member of an LLC, active. Remember, it's active income. And those limits are the 2019 limits that I'm going to use. However, know that this changes every year. All right, so let's start with the first one. This Social Security actually is 12.40%. Half of it is paid by the employee and the other half by the employer. And the self-employed pays the whole thing, the 12.40%. However, let me just tell you this. The employee, if the employee makes $100,000, the employee is paying 6.20% and the employer another 6.20% on the $100,000. The self-employed is going to deduct all of those expenses. So maybe the self-employed earned $200,000 and he has $100,000 in expenses. He's not going to pay these 12.40 and the $200,000. He's going to pay it on the $100,000. So in other words, on the net profit. And these rates are paid only on wages up to $132,900. So what does that mean? That means that if you make over $132,900, then you do not pay any more the Social Security. And then we have the Medicare. Medicare, 2.90%. Half of it is paid by the employee and the other half by the employer. And yes, the self-employed pays the entire amount, 2.90%. Now, this is very important because these rates are paid if your wages are below $200,000 if you're single and head of household, or $250,000 if you file married filing jointly, or $125,000 if you file married filing separate. However, if you make over these amounts, there is an extra Medicare. Let me show you here the total amount. So for an employee, the total amount that you pay that is deducted from your W-2 is 7.65%. And the employer pays the other 7.65%. And the self-employed is 15.3%. So if you are self-employed, you were wondering, what is that? It's 15.3%? Where is just that, Social Security and Medicare. All right. So remember how I was telling you that if you make over those limits, over those amounts, you pay extra Medicare. The additional Medicare is actually 0.90%. The employee pays that on their taxes and the Form 1040 once a year. And then the employer pays also federal unemployment. And that federal unemployment is 6%. That is paid once a year on the Form 940 if you are the employer. And as self-employed, you also pay the 0.90% if you make over the limit of those wages. And you pay once a year, but you do not pay federal unemployment. It depends, each state has its own rules, but for the federal unemployment, you do not pay it, which means you also cannot go and file for unemployment. The employer sends all of these Social Security, Medicare to the IRS and Form 941 every week, every month, or every quarter. It depends how much in payroll taxes the employer accumulated. But on Form 941 is sent every quarter. And then he sends again the federal unemployment, the 6%, is sent on the Form 940 only once a year. And that applies on the first 7,000 of payroll for each employee. So let's look at it in action. Let's give you an example here of $100,000 payroll for a W-2 for an employee. The employee pays $7,650, right? Because he's below the threshold, he or she don't pay the additional Medicare of 0.90%. And also pays the federal taxes based on that $100,000 payroll, up to 35%. And the employer pays another $7,650 and also pays the $420, which is 6% on the first $7,000. And the employer sends all of that on Form 941, except the federal unemployment, he sends it on the Form 940 once a year. For the self-employed, remember I was telling you that he could make $200,000, but after taking all of these expenses, he made $100,000 net profit, and that net profit he pays $15,300. He's not going to pay the 0.90% because he's not over the threshold, and he does not pay federal unemployment. But he does pay, obviously, the federal taxes. And the federal taxes is applied on the entire earnings, not just the payroll, but if he has other businesses, other incomes, federal taxes may apply, depending on the type of income, depending on which of the floors of those houses is that income. All right, I hope this information was helpful. Thank you so much and High five! If you like this video, please subscribe, share with your family and friends. I will embrace your inspiring comments. Until next time, remind your heart to smile and fight for your dreams with honor and undying determination. Thank you so much.